Hey everyone, welcome back to another Pixlr tutorial. So I'm going to make a few videos about using Pixlr for photo editing, and for this first one we're going to talk about the remove background features. So Pixlr actually has two ways of doing it. When you go to the main Pixlr page, before you dive into one of the editors, X or E, you have this option to do remove background, and that's the whole purpose of this site. And so how is it different than using the standard Pixlr E editor? Well, the real reason is that the Pixlr Remove BG is that it allows you to do batch removal. So you can do multiple images at once. The problem is that if you go ahead and you load it up too much, you get errors quite a bit. And so I've had enough errors with this that I just figured, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and load it up inside the Pixlr E. So, because if you click on Open Image and you go ahead and you try to load up, I'm just going to load up two images, and let's just see what happens. These are images from Unsplash. So here's two images right here. And now these are high resolution images, so it's going to say, wow, these are really big. Do you want to resize them? If I choose original, it most likely won't load them up. Full HD for both of them together, it usually chokes on that as well. So usually I find that I have to click on a web and go really small for each one. And you have to choose the resizing options for each photo. So I'm going to click web 2 times and click apply and see if they load up. So it's good that it's showing up in the background, but then you usually have to sit here and wait and see if there's either an error or it happens. So okay, that time it worked. And if I scroll down, you'll see the second one loaded up. So this time it worked, but again, I lost the quality because I had to go to the web size version. I'm not in that much of a rush, so I'm going to go ahead and just close that. Instead, I'm going to go to Pixlr E, open image, and I'm going to go ahead and load up this image of the lady. And this time I'm going to try Ultra HD, just so that way I can keep the size. And you can see it loaded up nice and quick. So once the image is here, then I can go ahead and I can do it. So I'm going to go to the Cutout tool, which is the scissors. And I have all the same tools that I would have on their other site. There is an automatic option. And so if you click on it, it says AI automatic, and it's doing the exact same thing. You will notice, however, that this is a premium feature. And so all you need to do is basically wait a few seconds, and then there's an ad that's supposed to be happening here. So if you just wait, go get a cup of coffee, and then click on continue, it will then go ahead and do that premium feature. Okay? So let's assume that we're pretty happy with this. Now, what I would normally do is I'm actually going to undo that. The reason why is you'll see that I have my background layer over here. I always want to protect the background layer. So what I'm going to do before I actually cut it out is I'm going to go to the 3 dots, and I'm going to come down here to the bottom, and I'm going to duplicate the layer. So now I've got a copy. So now I'm going to go ahead and hide the original background layer, and that way I'm working off of a copy, not the original. Okay, now I'll go ahead and I'll select my copy layer. I'll do the automatic cutout. The automatic cutout is pretty good. It's not 100%, but it's always faster than doing it manually. So I'll continue. And then there we go. Something went wrong. Try again later. Okay, we'll try it again. Let's see. Okay, so I had to do it a second time, and then it worked. Okay, so this is the preferred way of doing it, working off of a copy rather than the original. So a few things here. I'm just going to go through some of the options here at the top, and away we go. So you have some tools. The very first one is called a shape mask, and this allows you to either use a rectangle, a circle, or a line tool to either add to the mask or take away from the mask. You have to first choose what mode you want to work from. So right now it's add to the mask. So I have add to the mask and I have a rectangle. So if I click and I drag, you'll see that I'm adding to the mask, and I'm basically bringing back some of the original photo. I'm going to go ahead and switch to remove from the mask, and I'm just going to drag a rectangle around that, and it's going to get rid of it. Obviously, if I go over her and I do that, you'll see that she disappears. I'm going to choose Edit Undo, and there we go. And so again, I can choose different shapes, and so I can drag it out. I can make a circle, and you can see that I can do that. And then I have a line tool as well, which allows me to kind of draw lines through there. I'm going to undo that as well. You can also, there's a little toggle over here called Hint Removed, and it basically shows you what you're removing so you can remind yourself. So I can see down here, it's keeping some of this metal grate right here. So I can say, yep, I definitely don't want that metal grate. So now what I can do is I'm going to choose the rectangle, and I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to drag a rectangle right around this up to the back of her shirt, and there we go. So now it's removed. When I'm zoomed in, I can hold down the space bar and I can move around, and I can stay zoomed in, so that way it'll work out pretty well. So I would use the shape tool to get rid of big chunks, but the automatic one did a pretty good job. Okay, we'll move to the next tool. The next tool is called the Magic Mask, and this is where it's going to try to remove things of a similar color. So for instance, if I click on her shirt, you'll see that it went around and it tried to find pixels of a similar color. I don't want to do that right now. If the automatic button didn't work, you could use the Magic Mask tool and start clicking around here in the background, so that way you could try that. I'll show you what that looks like here. So I brought the photo back just so you could see what it looks like. If I choose the Magic Mask tool and I go ahead and I click on the background here, you can see that it is reducing, or it's removing quite a bit. But on something like this, this would take a very long time. It's really just easier to just do the shape tool and just cut it out, big old chunks, and just get it done like that. But again, it's so much faster to just use the automatic tool instead of chipping away at it like this. So not a big thing. Okay, let me go back to my original one. Okay, so now for cleanup, I also have the drawing mask. And for the drawing mask, this is just where you go in and you just get your hands dirty here. So when you have that, you now have the brush tool where you can come over here, click on the brush picker, and you can choose all your regular brush settings that you normally have. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, come down here right underneath the backpack, and I would come in here and probably grab a really small brush that has a hard edge, and just come on in here and just brush over it. And wherever you see the red ink going, when you lift up, you'll see that that will then cut it out. And you just go over it, put on your favorite music, get yourself some coffee, and basically keep going from there. Now, if you cut in too much, like this, you can go up here to Edit and do Undo, okay? But if you do cut in, you can also just come up here and change the mode back to Add Back In, and then you'll see that I'm painting in green now, and then you do it like that. One little handy trick is I just keep it on Remove from Mask, and so that way I can go ahead and be in remove mode. So I'm just basically removing and cleaning this all up. And then if I do, spill in there at all, you can just hold down the Shift key on the keyboard and it automatically switches the mode. And then you go in, you basically brush it back in, go ahead and bring it back, lift up on Shift, and then you're good to go. So that's pretty much it. Just change the brush size. I do notice that you can't change the brush size with the keyboard shortcuts. So unfortunately, if you're going to get into like a little tight space there, you do have to come up here and actually change it. So that's kind of an annoyance. So if I go down to 2 pixels now and I have to tap, now I can get in there and I can really deal with little details like that. But it works fine. So it's just a minor annoyance. I would say do all of the larger work that you can over the whole image and then change your brush size and then come back. So a minor thing. But you can change the brush size here. You can change the edge softness. Of course, you can change a little bit of the shape there. So you just basically start panning down and just go through here and basically do all your cleanup. And so that is it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you the other tools here. Let me find another area here that I can fix. Okay, so right here in between her knees, we have the lasso mask, and this is where you can basically go in and you just start drawing and you make a lasso, which is a closed shape. So you see I can go through here, and then as long as I close up the shape, it goes ahead and it just does it there. Lassos are nice and quick when you can make a nice continuous stroke. I kind of prefer the drawing tool, but that's me. That's just what I'm used to. Okay, and then the very last one is called a gradient mask. And this one's kind of a different creature here. So I don't use this one very much at all, but it's a nice little feature to have. So gradient is a blending from one color to the other. So if you have two types, linear and radial. Linear is going in a line, radial is a circle. And if you just click up here and you take a look at it and you're like, okay, I kind of don't get it. This little icon right here means that this is completely opaque. And then you can see that it kind of gets transparent as it goes over here. So what will happen is if I click and I drag from her lower body to her upper body, you'll see that her lower body stays opaque and then it fades or blends into her disappearing. And that's because I started here at her lower body and then going upwards, and so it disappeared. I'm going to undo that. And if I reverse that and I start up here at her head and go downwards, you'll see I get the reverse effect. And I get this nice blending of somebody disappearing. So that's actually what I use gradient masking for, is to do fading effects. So if you want to have somebody fading into something and it's just a nice, perfect blend, it's really great for that. Blending somebody into a series of clouds or fire or water or something like that, this works out quite nicely. I can switch it to radial. And again, you won't see much of a change there, but if I click and I drag, you'll see that it stayed opaque in the center and then it got transparent going around, kind of like in a circle. It'd be kind of cool if they actually showed you a circle though. So I will show some other tutorials when we get into photo editing, like double exposure and stuff like that, and we'll use the gradient type cutouts. So I hope this tutorial helps you out. And honestly, I would probably stick with the auto feature. I would stick with the shape tools, and then I would do draw. I think those three right there, maybe the magic one every now and then. I think those make the most sense for everyday practical usage. And to finish up, you're going to download this. You're going to do File, Save, and you want to make sure that the file type is PNG, PNG. Sorry, they're not really called pings, but PNG. And then that way, you'll get the transparent background. And so now I can go ahead and hit download and give it a few seconds, and I'm good to go. And then I can bring this image into another project, and she'll have a nice clean cut here. Okay, I hope this helps you out, and I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.